and welcome to the Serra High School Podcast.
Thank you.
Today, I am so lucky to be joined with Father Joe Bradley and Coach Patrick Walsh. Thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, today we are going to discuss a cause that's very important to and dear to all of our hearts here at Serra, and that is our Fund to Dream scholarship benefit, which is going to take place on March 12th in person for the first time in 2 years. Mm-hmm. So we're all very excited about that. And Father Joe Bradley was going to be our featured keynote speaker back in 2020, but unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we had to postpone it. And so we're so grateful that you are back and ready to entertain our crowd. So thank you.
No, thank you. I'm very grateful. Feel very blessed at the opportunity. I owe everything to Serra. I trace my vocation. I've been a priest 30 years now, and I really do trace it back to my days as a student here. You know, we had some really wonderful priests, John Kelly and Al Vuksinovic, Dave Karen. They were just very real to us. You know, they brought, for me, I as a student, I wasn't looking forward to theology because it just meant memorizing prayers. But they brought, like, Jesus to Vietnam. They brought Jesus to busing. They brought Jesus to a discussion about women at the table. This is like way, way, way ahead of their time. And yet, you know, I was a real quiet kid sitting in the back of the class, and it had a powerful impact on faith and what priesthood was really about. And so I've said to Patrick, when you see me patrolling the field during a football game, I'm just channeling John Kelly. That's what he did that had a big impact on my life and my generation's life. So for me, this is a real great honor, and I'm very, very grateful.
Wonderful. I guess I should have first started by introducing that you are a student class of 1973, and since then you've worn numerous hats and helmets and collars and everything here at Serra. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've done here? I know you're a Saint Scholar, you're a Saint Serra Award winner, you were a president, you are the football chaplain. Can you tell us a little bit more about your experience here?
Sure. In 1991, I was ordained, and the Archbishop Quinn called me in and said, I'm going to send 3 priests to 3 of my high schools. So there was Tom Daly, Father Tom Daly, who became Bishop Tom Daly. There was, what was his name? I'll have to...
Priest number 2.
I was going to say.
Yes,
for now.
Father Tom Merson,
There you go.
who became Monsignor Tom Merson, and Serra got me.
Awesome.
So there's a bishop, a Monsignor, and I guess Serra got the short straw.
I think we won again. Wouldn't you say that, Coach?
Absolutely.
Right?
Winner.
But so I've been very grateful to have taught. I taught junior Christology, and then I was president for like 2 years before this heart stuff really took over. And but I've been very, very blessed with Patrick. This is going into our 22nd year of Serra Varsity Chapel football, and that's kept me involved in the school in a certain way. And you know, most of my weddings and baptisms and even family funerals, it comes from Serra. It comes from a lot of the football kids. I'll get a phone call out of nowhere saying, Father Joe, you remember me? I was number 28 on the 2012 team. And I'm going like, whoa, yeah, right, okay, yeah.
You probably have a script for that. Of course I remember you.
Yeah, of course I remember. I'm searching for a yearbook, you know. But, so it's been Serra has been the blessing of my priesthood. It really has, and I'm very grateful, very, very grateful.
Well, thank you. And Coach Walsh, you and I have spoken at length on the football podcast about the how chapel is one of the fundamentals of your program. Can you talk a little bit more about that, please?
Yeah, I mean, one of our core values is humility, and we gain the strength and all of that from Father Joe. And there's no more humble man on the planet, you know, considering everything that Father Joe's been through, just, you know, with his priesthood, and then obviously his heart transplant, and just the soul and person that he is. So having that concept of humility was something that wasn't a part of Serra football until Father Joe and I got to know each other on a deep level. And you listen to his introduction about Jesus being introduced into his life through Vietnam, through women's rights, and that's why, just right there alone, it's like, okay, this is why, we bow down in humility to Father Joe, because he's just, his life experiences, who he is, what he means, his heart that resonates with all of us here at Serra is so important to our journey as a football program each and every year. So we're very, very, very blessed to have our human angel on the planet. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And for those that don't listen to our football podcast or don't have a son on the team, chapel takes place the night before every game, correct? Mm-hmm. And Father Joe, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what happens during chapel?
Sure. Well, Patrick will tell you the boys run it. I mean, I introduced the theme for the week that comes from Patrick, and then Patrick and I both speak, but the boys carry it. They pick the readings, the quotes. I meet with the captains every year, and I say, okay, look, you guys can pick the music you have for all these years. So rap whatever you want, but one F-bomb in the chapel, and I take over.
Nice.
And you're going to be hearing Beatles and Stones and Eagles for the rest of your life.
That's more my style.
So
I'd like
so
that.
we have a good agreement, and the boys are very, very respectful. But they truly do run it. It's theirs. I mean, I do my bit, and Patrick opens it and closes it. But that whole section in the middle is theirs, and they open up. They open up their hearts, and it's been a profound privilege, real honest privilege to be a part of it for me, very much.
That's excellent.
Again, in humility fashion, Father Joe's turned it over to my chapel, the kids' chapel. But I'll tell you this: the few chapels that Father Joe's missed in 22 years have not been the same. So he wouldn't know that because he's not there. But there's any chapel where Father Joe is not present, it's different because I get up there and do the best I can, but I'm faking it. And last year, Father Joe missed a couple, and we had Father Ryan Mahe, who's one of the players.
Right. And let me just interrupt you for 1 second, because Ryan Mahe is also going to be one of our featured speakers at Fun to Dream. Yes.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But.
And there actually is a Father Ryan High School in Nashville, Tennessee. So it just fits perfect with Father Ryan. So when Father Joe couldn't be there, I'm like, you know what? Ryan Mahe is such a spiritual, wonderful guy who loves Father Joe. I'm like, okay, you're going to run it. So again, Father Joe, humility. Yeah, it's not the same without you when you're not there.
That's amazing. And I mean, I just, having the privilege of doing the football podcast and learning so much more about the program, I know that chapel is equally as important as a playbook. So
it really is.
We value the time and dedication that you give to all the boys in the football program as well.
It's a blessing. It really is. It's evolved over 22 years. I remember one time, I think it was your second or third year, and we were in this big game. I think it was Bellarmine. We're down at the 1 yard line, and I guess we fumbled the ball or something, but we didn't score. We lost the game. So Patrick and I, we meet for lunch the first week when the season's over. We kind of rehash it. And Patrick says to me, he goes, there's something not right. And I said, I agree. I'm not exactly sure. And he was like, it was Patrick who said, we need to raise the level. It needs to become more than just winning football games. And that's when it changed. It really did. That's when it changed. It began to evolve into a very spiritual program. The question wasn't like how many points we score in the football game. It was really about what kind of man are you going to be as you leave us and go on to college or wherever you go. What are your core values? What are your virtues? And that changed everything. And so the score became less important, and we started winning more games. And that I always give you a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, thank you, Father Joe.
You're the one who mentioned that. And we were driving home on the bus, which was very quiet. And Patrick and I, we sit together, but we never talk football. And this one time he turns to me and goes, so what do you think? And I go, well, I think we have to get a little bigger up front. We got pushed around the second half. And I'll never forget this. It was a turning point for me. Patrick says, no, there's not enough love on this team. Like, we're selfish. We're playing for our stats. We need to change the dynamic. And that's what Chapel took on, a totally different journey from that point on. And it's been a great joy for me, real privilege.
That's really amazing. Just throw a little love in there and it changes everything. That's wonderful.
And the sign of peace can go 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it can go 20 minutes. So you'll have guys stand up and say, I've been jealous of so-and-so playing time that I want, and I need to reconcile with that. And so the sign of peace just goes on. And so by the time the boys take the field, we always say their spirit's in a good place, their heart's in a good place, go play Padre football. And that's what we do. And Patrick is the one who really leads that, very much.
Well, I can definitely see that there's a tremendous amount of respect between the two of you, and your friendship is so admirable. And each time I speak with both of you, the level of praise and accolades that you give each other is amazing. What bonded you, or what do you think? What do you think it was? I'll go with you, Coach, first.
I think just love for each other, really. I mean, every relationship at the top, let's call it, starts with love and commitment to one another. And I think that's where we started, just really diving into each other's story. And what we're both after is something way deeper than playing a sport. And I think that bonded us really right off the top. And I was humble enough to know that I couldn't be what Father Joe is and what he could be to our program. And early on, when I'm 26, it's 2001, I felt like I needed to control everything. And the first thing that I delegated in the program, knowing that delegation is one of the biggest strengths of any good coach, if you will, or leader, is to delegate and then trust your people to do the job that they're supposed to do. The first thing I delegated was chapel. And when I did that, everything got better. I got out of the way, let Father Joe's love and strength. And, he's more of a Padre than I ever will be, right? I mean, he graduated from here. He's worked here before I got here. He freaking hired me. I mean, the whole thing is, so it's like, please run with this. And that's what he did.
It's amazing.
I think we have a good balance. I couldn't do what Patrick does. There's just
very few could.
Dynamic drive.
Even priests.
I just couldn't do that. But as the priest, I'm the nice guy. I get the kid who fumbles. Or when one of our boys makes a mistake and gets booted out of the game, I can remember walking by Patrick and Patrick just goes, "You got him?" I go, "I got him."
It's amazing.
So I get to be the nice guy, whereas Patrick, he's the drive behind it. He's the drive in chapel. He's the drive on the field and off the field. And I think what connected us was really and truly wanting these guys to grow up to be young men of faith, young men of wisdom, young men of service. I mean, that's our credo, and that's what we really wanted in the end. And so it's been a real blessing in my life.
I always like the chapels where he becomes the bad guy, though. I'm like, okay, if Father Joe's being the bad guy, this is good for business.
Once in a while.
Maybe once a year.
Probably pretty rare.
Yeah, it's very rare. But when it happens, like, I know we're off track, everyone's off track. Father's like, this is not who we're supposed to be. And then when he's saying that, it's like, oh gosh, it's time to get right.
Right. That's amazing. Yeah, you are very calm. It's contagious.
Most of the time.
Right.
So your love for the boys is obviously, I mean, it's amazing. I see this every day around here at Serra, but especially with the two of you. And this Fund a Dream program, for those that don't know, it's a scholarship benefit for tuition assistance. Every cent goes directly to tuition assistance. I believe that we have roughly 42% of our student body that receives some sort of aid. So this benefit is very, it's one of many ways that we raise money, but it's our most aggressive effort. And I just kind of wanted to talk to you both. I know you've been involved in it for years. We're now in its 18th year, and I know you've had a hand in it, whether in attendance or just supporting it, writing about it, whatnot. Can you each kind of talk about the need to support something like this and why it helps to bring such a wide variety of students that we keep as Padres?
You want to start?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know the stats when I first got here, but when I first got here in 22 years ago now, the tuition wasn't what it is now. It didn't cost as much to live here as it does now.
Good point.
The amount of percentage of students on financial aid was not 42%. I mean, things have changed in 2 decades. Obviously, everything changes, but in 2 decades, things have changed so much dramatically. But what hasn't changed is the commitment from our school to make sure that we can educate the boys of San Mateo County, which is what was our original mission statement back in 1944, I think.
Good, very good.
Yes, thank you. So
thinking of your football hat.
yeah,
That's
exactly. So 1944, the Archdiocese of San Francisco got together and said, we're going to build a school that educates the boys of San Mateo County and men of faith, wisdom, leadership, courage, not courage, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm speaking fast, but, we're a Catholic school. And Catholic schools, in our opinion, and from 1944, is to not preclude anyone from being able to have the opportunity to be here and fund a dream. When Mr. Lars Lund started this 18 years ago, has been kind of the centerpiece of financial aid so we can continue to live that mission now that we're in 2022. That's the way I see it.
That's a wonderful answer.
For me, it's very personal because I was a scholarship kid. Back in the 60s and 70s, 90% of the school came from Catholic school. I went to Bayside. My dad was an electrician. To send my sister to Mercy, my younger brother to Serra, and me to Serra, we needed assistance. So I know what that is. And I also am sensitive to when we, have to charge the tuition we charge to make it go. There's a lot of expectation on the boys, a lot more pressure on them than in my day, I feel. And I see that in the football kids, and I'll be honest, I see that when I come here for like Advent, confessions, and reconciliation, and Lent, and so forth. There's tremendous expectations on them, a lot of pressure on them, a lot more than when I was a kid, and so this relieves a lot of that, helps that well, you're going to come to Serra. We can make that happen through the generosity of our people. And like I say, it's very humbling. It's a real incredible honor for me. And it's very personal because I received that. And when my brother came here, my mom was a widow, and he got the same aid, received it. So Serra's been such a part, not just of my life, but my whole family. And I kind of bring that when I look at these kids in chapel. I have a pretty good sense of there's more there than what they're saying. And so it's like I say, I know I'm being repetitive, but it's such an honor for me because I was a recipient, and I'm very grateful for that.
And I did not know that, and that really it's chilling. I mean, it fits. It's even more fitting. I mean, you have so many wonderful things to bring to our event and to our school, but to hear that you also benefited directly from the generosity of others.
They'll come to me during the season at times, and Patrick will say to me, can you check in with numbers so-and-so? And we'll walk around the track together, and that's what they'll talk about. Just, I'm trying my best. It's the pressure. I'm worried about my grades and this and that, and you want to just say, breathe. Just breathe. God is with you. I'm with you. Coach is with you. Just breathe. And so fund a dream to know that they can go here and graduate from here. It's a remarkable, beautiful gift that it's just a privilege to be a part of.
That's wonderful. Well, I love the theme this year is faith in the future, and it really just highlights that there are so many qualified prospective Padres out there that might not afford to come to Serra that deserve the opportunity to explore all of the gifts that Serra presents to the students. And can you talk a little bit about just, how some of the students that you guys work with, the student athletes that you work with, I mean, there are a lot, I'm sure there are several in every class, whether it be Algebra 2, whether it be on the football field, in every class. I mean, we are a very diverse bunch, fortunately. But can you talk a little bit about how a program like this or a strong tuition, scholarship fund has, how it helps our environment and makes us as better as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, my son's a junior here. We've talked a lot about Willie, but I love the fact that we're a private school, and you have to pay money to come here. And so we're not a public school. That's very clear. But the fact that we have a strong financial aid program allows for diversity to come to Serra High School. So my son, I'm looking at it from the father's perspective now, but not father, but, dad.
Contagious.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
Not close to father, but a dad perspective that my son can be a part of a diverse community, even though we are still at a private school. It's not an elitist place, if you will, where only the people who can afford a really big chunk of change to pay for a great experience. We allow that to expand. And I think that's critical for my son's development. It's critical for everyone's development here that we understand that, the world is a very, very diverse place, especially during these times, and that everyone deserves an opportunity, and everyone deserves the love and the brotherhood that Serra High School brings to this small community here. In the grand scheme of things, San Mateo County is a small community within the big world, and the lessons that are taught, from people who can pay zero or people who can pay our max tuition, and the fact that with all of those kids are together is, lessons you can't teach in a classroom. And just that commingling of different socioeconomic backgrounds, I believe makes Serra unique, and I believe helps my son grow and will make him a better man, a more understanding man as he graduates in a couple years.
Thank you for that.
And for me, I'm always aware that, like right now, somewhere in San Mateo County, there's a mom and dad sitting down. Maybe they're having coffee or they're talking together, and maybe the dad went here, and they're trying to figure out how our son can go and experience that faith, that brotherhood, have the experience of playing for Coach Walsh or all of our teachers and those in music and theater and in the classroom and the mentors that we have here. How are we going to make that happen when this is the tuition? So for me, Fund to Dreams lets parents breathe again. We talk about the boys being able to breathe about the pressures of school, but this allows the parents to, okay, he's in,
Right.
now. And his 4 years, he's going to walk out a young man as a Padre. And I think it's, I also try to always remember the moms and dads that, I'm a priest. I live in a rectory, I'm very lucky. I live in a rectory that's nicer than some of our parishioners. Excuse me. And so for these mom and dads to say, I can do this. I can send my son to Serra. He can have that experience. He can feel that brotherhood, that unity. He can increase his depth of faith. That's real. He can share it with his young brothers, and it lets them breathe and move on with their lives too. So it's just all around grace.
That's amazing. Well, wonderful. Well, I appreciate you answering that question, because I think it's just so obvious and evident that we're all so proud to be a part of a community that places high value on being able, the amount of people that not only attend the event, but also, donate in absence, or just, our entire faculty and staff and friends and alumni and grandparents and parents and supporters of Serra, they see the same value that, we want more people to be able to experience this program. And so I hope that that everybody comes to listen to your wonderful words. I'm glad that we didn't tease what you're going to talk about, but I'm very excited. Coach Walsh, you're going to be doing the introduction, which we're very excited to hear. I know there are a lot of people really excited to hear you. And Father Joe, after 2 years, we're just all so excited that we finally get to.
Very grateful.
Yeah.
As I said, very, very grateful. Much thanks to Mike Fideli, because Mike was the one who invited me to do this. So I'm very grateful to Mike, too, and don't want to let him down.
Yes, well, you're going to do great. And I appreciate your time here today. It's just, sometimes it's just so much more important to hear straight from you two just about this program. I can't even write it in the written word, but any better than you can say it. So for those of you listening, our Fun to Dream is on March 12th in our very dressed up gym. And I think it starts at 5:30. Tickets are available on our website at serrahs.com. And we're going to have some student speakers. We'll have great food, some libations, and obviously 2 of the best speakers that we could ever bring to you. So thank you for joining us. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Amy.
All right.
Thank you, Amy.
All right. Go Padres.
Thanks, Patrick.